Nope, there's more paper guys up here. Hey, you're guarding lore. Well, I must kill you now. I will kill the guardians of lore. And ignore the crap out of this middle character, apparently. Where are you going? I told you to go attack him. Oh. There we go. Alright. Let's make a mess. And he's down. No more summons from you. That'll keep us defended for the moment. Come back here. We're not done with you. There we go. Clean. Yeah, with the summoner gone, the sheer number of enemies is pretty low at that point. When it's just a couple of roguelike characters to fight. What are you guarding up here? This whole place is full of book monsters now. I guess this is where you'd build them. A little concerning that also means that like actual books are being destroyed here because they are coming out of the library itself. What if one of the books that we needed to turn into a Fae? Wouldn't want to use fire attacks on that one. Lucca Infinita, Origins. Of the guilds today, the Lucca Infinita holds its place as the second oldest guild, approximately half a decade younger than the Atlas Nobilis. Founded in the 4th Canticle, the Lucca Infinita, unlike most other guilds, grew from the seed of a less than pure intention. After Ombre had secured its victory against its fatherland, Altamire, at the end of the March of Broken Songs, word of its power and potential spread through the lands, attracting a great many immigrants who were either dissatisfied with their own countries, or were lured enough by the enticing tales of Ombre's power that they were willing to pull roots and sail to our shores. The surge in population in the 4th Canticle might not have been as considerable as that in the 6th Canticle, but it was sizable enough that the Portieri at this time could not cope with the increase in areas that they had to watch. Violence and crime spread throughout the lands, and though many of the Lucca would tell you that their guild was fashioned with the intention of combating that influx of crime, the truth is less simple than that. Valerio Emmaris was the founder of the Lucca Infinita, and ironically, the ancestor to Vacario Emmaris, current leader of the Laboris Solis, lost his son to a robber in the streets, who killed the young boy because he'd made the mistake of forgetting to hide a precious stone he'd bought for his parents on their anniversary. The robber made off with the stone. History has forgotten its exact nature, though some suspect it had been a sky stone from Elysia, and left Valerio with nothing but a deep-seated thirst for vengeance. Valerio spent the subsequent months hunting his son's murderer, and when he found him, made short work of the man. Valerio was Masquerada, his son's murderer was not. The tragic story and its satisfying conclusion spread quickly through the streets of Prima Campa, and inspired a great many others to take action against the nascent criminal industry. It was only upon seeing the effect that his vengeance had on those around him that Valerio realized he'd tapped into a wellspring of discontent shared by much of society. Masquerada and Contadani alike. It was then that the idea of forming a guild struck the man, and so the Lucca Infinita was born. In modernity, the Golden Guild has strayed quite substantially from its roots, and has become blinded by its obeisance to laws, rather than to justice, though many in their ranks would argue that they are one and the same. I've never seen the word obeisance before. I'm pretty sure it's a variation of the word obedience, though. In fact, I think you could even replace that word with the word obedience, and it would work. It would say the same thing and fit grammatically. So I think that's what they were going for. But obeisance is a new one for me. The fact that it's only like one letter off makes me think that's them being cute.
All right. Are we near it?
It's right here. This is a book about Dementicati history. It chronicles the Empire's expansion of territory.
That's huge.
Your Regenti was interested in ancient people, it seems.
But why?
We'll get the last one and hopefully we'll find our answers.
It's upstairs.
Let's go.
Dementicate. I'll have to try to remember that pronunciation, if I can. Wow, look at this. Our white spire has crumbled passageways. Where do those even go? Are those other passageways, like, do they still... Surely there's other ways to get over there still. Otherwise there's a bunch of books that are just... you no longer have access to without some very careful pulleys and whatnot. The triplets. Hello. Nightmarish book person that looks like a Cthulhu monster. Oh, hello. And now I realize why they're called the triplets. There's Matcha, Badb, and Nimain. Alright. Okay. Let's just not be in the path of this if I can avoid it. Oh! It's gonna attack us. It's still aiming. Okay, sure. At least we mostly avoided the attack. Let's get back in there. Okay. This might be a little tough because its health isn't going down that quickly. I'm suspecting the other characters may be better targets, so maybe we'll try to focusing on one of them. What are you doing? Look at this path that it's taking. I clicked on this guy and it's like, I'll go all the way here, I'll do a lap around this guy and come back. Assuming direct control. You just gotta Mass Effect 2 some of this stuff and we'll figure it out. There we go. This one's pretty durable too, unfortunately. Alright, who do you think it's targeting? Probably the guy that's in the middle of the attack, right? Yep, that's exactly what's happening. There's the attack. Cool. Doing what I can to minimize the damage from that kind of stuff. By figuring out who it's being targeted and then getting the other two out of the way. Because having that hit everybody at once would probably be bad for us. So we're down to 66%. Okay, so it is one shared health bar between the three. That's why it's called the triplets. There we go. So we're on a good path here. One of us is definitely about to go down. Okay, so you hold your position. You two get out of the attack. There we go. Back in we go. Let's unleash a cone. Can you just select him directly? Oh, wow. He actually ran out of the attack of the cone. They use the same tactics that I do, where they know to try to avoid that kind of damage when it comes up. It's a boss fight, so it's probably a good time to pop our Quagmire. I don't know if that was available at the beginning of the fight or not. Did I just escape the... Oh, I actually outran the maximum length of the range. I didn't really think in that term at first. We're almost down with the second one now. And then the fight's bound to get a lot easier unless he has like an enrage mode. What do you do again? It evokes power water, giving all allies temporary buff that increases damage reduces damage they take. Cool. Yeah, let's do that. Obviously. Let's do everybody's Qs. It's a boss fight. She heals herself instead. See, it's an aura of protection. When active and she falls, she heals herself instead and unleashes a fire wave that deals damage to nearby enemies. So I do this if she's about to die. It sounds like I want to save it until she's about to die, and then I use it. Let's see. I should try to circle around her. Circle around the bad guy a little bit to avoid this exact thing happening where he does the ranged attack, because we don't want it to be hitting multiple people at once. There we go. Now formed a triangle. Good. We should be good to go, more or less. I don't see this going too poorly from this point out. I'm kind of just using all of my cooldowns at this point and hoping for the best, but no one's really taking much damage anymore. Aha, I didn't run out of the cone that time. And here it goes. Wow, I actually maxed out my mask again, too.
Is that the last of them?
I hope so.
I certainly hope your theories about the Fae will explain that to me.
I'm hoping they do too. But again, let us find the last book first.
I recognized its spine while you were fighting the creature.
And its size, no doubt.
Tides. Of all the books we had to collect, it had to be the 3 biggest ones.
Inspectore, if it's your plan to go through each...
I don't think we have any other choice.
Even with a pair of eyes on each volume, it'll take you at least a week to get through them.
Worse still, we don't even know what we're looking for.
Hold on. I need a moment to think.
Cicero, what if we tried to...
By myself, please. All right, Raz. Give me something. Yes. Right. Power. Creating power. Using it to expand. Anything that smacks of strength or supremacy.
Inspectore,
I said I'd like to be alone, Marshal.
are you all right?
I will be if you give me a second.
All right. I'll see you with the others then.
Thought long enough?
Yes, I have.
You have an idea on how to get us through the tomes, then?
I do, in fact. Follow me.
It's very rude.
I don't have all day. I don't know how much longer I can stand here.
Cicero, why are you keeping them here? They're agitated enough about what happened.
Just a moment, Kyrie, please. I apologize for the delay. I understand how uncomfortable it must be standing here, but there is a final request that I have for you. I am looking for information within this book, as well as within the 2 my colleagues are carrying. I do not have the luxury of time to sift through its contents, and I implore you to lend me your assistance for just a few moments in this endeavor.
Cicero, they might be Vegelus, but that doesn't mean they can cover 1,000 pages in one... Inspectore!
Take it. Books can be repaired, rewritten. Time cannot. Mariner? Marshal? Perhaps you'd like to cover your eyes, Kyrie. And maybe your ears. Now, you're searching for anything that hints at great power. Undefeated leaders, huge swaths of land claimed, rebellions quelled in a day.
Inspectore, I think I found something.
Go on.
I'm looking at a timeline of the Dimenticate's history of expansion. There was a specific point in time after which they began furiously claiming land.
And what point is that?
It's referred to as Aechian Thune, of the year of Nuav.
Good. Everyone else, keep that in mind.
Something else, sir.
Yes?
It's a religious text about some godsends that the Dimenticati were supposedly blessed with.
Go on.
They're referred to here as the knife, the seed, and the heart.
They're here as well. Says that they changed the very face of the Menticate society, allowed them to start winning wars.
It would fit the timeline.
Excellent. The knife, the heart, and the seed. Remember those names.
Something more, sir. From a story. It's about where they came from. These were flesh of the god himself, from the marrow of our father's bone. They were presented to us in steepled fingers of stone.
Good, good. Now, does anyone have anything on what exactly they were? How they functioned, what they did? Well, it was worth a try. Is there anything else anyone deems important? Well, I suppose that's it then. Thank you all for your cooperation. You're quite free to leave when you're ready.
That was a smart move, Inspectore. Disrespectful to paper hearts, but smart.
Desperation breeds innovation.
And your search criteria were conveniently accurate?
A hunch. If mask runners were searching for something, what else would it be but power?
So, now what?
Now, recollection. The mask runners knew about the numbers certainly from Razatov.
Razatov?
They have him. Captured him. For what I now suspect to be his research.
The knife, seed, and heart.
What do they do, exactly? All we understand is that they were the key to the Dimenticate's power. But how?
I'm sure we'll soon find out. If the Masquerades have captured Razatov and are now looking for books that involve them...
They're after the artifacts.
And so are we. It's our best bet at finding Razatov.
Then we have to beat them to it.
We can start by paying the cleaver a visit.
I don't recognize the name.
In steepled fingers of stone. There is only one place that is conjured from that imagery. A set of ruins in Cacciatore territory called the Cleaver.
But that quote was from a story.
And if you have stronger leads, Mariner, I suggest you lay them out, please.
You're right. I apologize.
Now, if that's all...
One last thing, Cicero.
Ah, yes, the Fae. Of course. I'll meet you at the coach. Right. So, about the Fae. I have a theory that they're related to the mists, and summoning them requires a ritual of some sort that involves blood and loose articles. Papers, books, anything that can be used as a physical building block for a form.
And we're back out. What do we got here? Part 7. 6. In the Conoscenza, we encountered Masquerades dressed as portieri who have taken the Vigilist hostage. I dislike intensely the trajectory of this investigation. The less this has to do with Masquerades, the better I feel. Anyway, the Masquerades must have obtained the uniforms through the Quiet Order. One of the registry's uniform houses was located there, and though their presence in the investigation might make me uncomfortable, I cannot deny that it has put us on a better path. They had been asking after specific books about Dimenticate. There we go. At the moment, I'm like, every time I see that, I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it, and then I even just heard it said, and I'm immediately forgetting it again. God damn it. About Dimenticate history. Books that must have been what Razatov had been after during his trips to the Conoscenza, and what had informed his subsequent research. The books which we found with the aid of Kyrie speak of ancient artifacts called the Knife, Seed, and Heart, and though I cannot let the others know just yet, I believe these artifacts were intimately linked to the creation of Mascherines. In the meantime, they will have to just accept that Razatov has been on a quest to understand how Dimenticate came into such power. The books also spoke of a place referred to as Steepled Fingers of Stone. I believe that it is a reference to a set of ancient ruins called the Cleaver, and though I am unsure what we will find there, I do believe it will lead us to more answers. In the meantime, Kyrie has promised us to further investigate the creation of Fae. I have told her all I know and all I suspect, and she is excited about testing the hypotheses. Well, this is neat. So now we should be able to leave the city, because this whole game's taking place in city squares and government buildings and research buildings, and we might actually get a chance to go somewhere else now. Tactician, is that this thing over here? Proteus? No, that's Tactician. I was curious why it says Tactician right here. So every new upgrade you buy shows up one by one under that list. Okay. So Cicero has 3 points to spend. I think I'm gonna go grab these drakes now. So now he can summon 2 drakes that attack periodically. You can make them attack faster, or make the caster gain focus. That's not a terrible idea. That leads to some surprising synergy, where using one skill that's technically more of an offensive skill also leads to defensive bonuses, making your character altogether more well-rounded. So I'm going to grab that. Contadani has 2 points now, because they gave us 2 at a time just now. And he has 1 slot remaining if I want to use it for that. Otherwise I could buy upgrades here. Let's see. You can make the ward protection larger and make the allies take even less damage. Or you can reduce skill cooldown and take lesser damage. The idea of it being able to cover more allies does sound pretty welcoming. It comes down to, do I want it to be better for my personal character or for the party as a whole? And I think I'm going to side with the party. These ones are going to cost me more, unfortunately. Let's see, Kaladin's focus is restored back to full. Wow. That somewhat mitigates the idea of the reduced damage on self if you can also refill your focus by casting it, which can reduce incoming damage. Each companion's health and focus becomes the average of a total maximum health and focus of the entire party. Whoa. Those are both kind of neat and interesting sounding. The idea of averaging out your entire party's health could deal with the fact that one person's taking a bunch of damage and somebody else isn't. That said, it can also be a little dangerous because if everybody has similar amounts of health, it increases the chance of them all going down at the same time. Whereas one person having very high health and one person having very low health leads to situations where it's not that hard to just revive them when they go down. So, Sorel's Link sounds really useful, but also a little damaging. Whereas the infusion just instantly refilling Kaladin's focus sounds promising. Do I want to upgrade something else here? We can reduce school to... actually, yeah, reducing... Since he's the character that covers himself with defensive skills, having a water tag reduce cooldowns actually sounds pretty great, because it means he can use these defensive skills with a higher frequency if their cooldowns keep getting reduced. So I'm gonna go for that. Alright, Tiziana. Probably gonna upgrade our existing skills since we can. Increased shield duration sounds like a good idea. Attack speed and mask charge regeneration. Let's see. So just to be clear, max charge is it's the equivalent of mana in this game. It's not the other skill, which is called the mask ultimate. So mana regeneration or attack speed, basically. And we don't have numbers to crunch here, so it's a little rough to figure out how to process it. But most of her skills aren't super status related; they're mostly damage related. So both of these are kind of pursuing a similar goal. I think I'm gonna go for attack speed in her case and give her maybe a bit of a melee emphasis. Then I can go for back down. Let's see. I think I want to get the shield duration up. There we go. Points spent. I think that's everybody's points for once. I'm not saving any up right now. Okay. Hopefully I'm making the right calls. We're back in the same courtyard again, and once again, there's more lore. I figured that was going to happen. Alright, so, the Eteria, Meromento and Mecanteri. The Eteria are one of the 3 pairs of media that are currently recognized and have their practitioners concentrating on the craft of music to affect their branding prowess. The 2 constituent media are Meromento and Mecanteri. The Eterna are unusual in their mechanisms because neither require practicing Masquerada to move or to be in direct physical proximity to the subject of their branding. Only dirges and songstresses can brand materials at a significant distance from them. So that's why we see people with drums and stuff like that, like this guy over here. We have people using percussion instruments because they apparently use music to give their magic a long range of effect, which is almost bizarre. Okay, so basically we have a... Yeah, that's pretty much the three parts of a normal RPG. You have the warrior, the rogue, and the mage, like the sort of ranged mage. Or like specifically, the dynamic here is we have 3 categories. They're major categories. One of which is the big, powerful attacks, like a bunch of hard hitting and AOE and stuff like that. Then we have the one that's a lot of precision strikes and speed and potentially being vulnerable. Then you have the other one that's about being the only one that can do ranged attacks. Like, it's a relatively normal triangle, just recontextualized in some interesting and surprising ways.
There you are.
Well, I hope I haven't kept you waiting.
I need to return to my court.
That was quick.
I feel the Judge Master would want to know that one of the Registry's members was seeking artifacts of great power.
I don't suppose there's anything I can do to talk you out of it.
You suppose correctly.
In that case, I should at least thank you for your assistance today. It's good to know the bright chorus is still alive in the hearts of some.
Well, I suppose you're welcome. I will see you soon, Inspectore.
The whole time, you've been so polite.
I may not enjoy politics, but let this be a lesson to you, Mariner. If you cannot kill a spy, then you do just as well to befriend them. Come on, we have ruins to investigate.
Oh, it's so exciting, isn't it, sister?
What?
We're going to the ruins.
I hope you know we're not actually going to go follow them inside.
What?
You'll not miss much, anyway.
Not a fan of ruins, sir?
Hate them. For my creditor, I scored the worst for the section about ruins and archaeology.
Why's that?
Well, for one, when I'd been...
When you'd been...
Not again, Calden.
Come on.
When I'd been Contadani, before I joined the registry, I used to spend a lot of time along the highways. There were a pair of vigilists that came by every morning on their way to the White Spire who would talk about ruins and interesting finds. And every time I listened to them, walking in their fancy robes, all I could think was, why do they have so much energy for the dead when the living still suffer? Now look what you've done, Mariner. You made me kill the mood.
Oh, please don't say that, sir. That was, lighted and enlightening. Yes, enlightening.
He means thank you, sir.
We'll be back soon.
We'll be here.
A word, Mariner?
Something the matter?
About what happened on the coach.
The twins seem to appreciate...
Stop it. Now, I know you mean well. You think getting me to talk about my past will help me get over it. It won't. I've spent the past 5 years burying the man that abandoned his brother and fled the city. Stop trying to bring him back. Is that clear?
But you...
Is that clear, Mariner?
As the belt, sir.
Good. Now, come on.
Whoa, hello, pop-ups. I guess this reinforces a bit why Tiziana has fewer journal entries than Calden does, because she's already gone. Not for good, I'm sure, but I mean, like, she's separating because that's part of her life. I wonder if this is probably set up for us to meet a new character, maybe Amadea, who is located literally next on the list. That seems like it might be an indication. Tiziana de Felici. Her stalwartness in performing her duties is going to be a source of problems in the near future. That much I can say with certainty. She's too committed to her guild. Nothing I say or do seems to rattle her allegiance to it. Perhaps if I learn how she came to be the unflinching, impermeable marshal that she is, or identify the winds that sway the sails of her heart, might I begin to construct a plan to unravel her loyalties. Toying with the allegiances of others is not a favorite pastime of mine, but I won't be the first to admit... that seems like a strange phrasing, but I won't be the first to admit its usefulness in situations such as this. It's like I don't know, normally when you use the word but, it's to contradict the previous statement, or to caveat it in some way, but she says... They say toying with allegiances is not a favorite pastime, but he won't be the first to admit. It's like, that seems like the but was misused. Anyway, let's talk more about misused butts. There must be some way I can shake this undaunted bastion. Hello, Calden. There, I've done it. Told him off. I don't enjoy such activities, but I must do what is best for the investigation. I only hope he won't take it too harshly. He is a good healer. He's not... Well, I mean, he's probably just not going to back off. He'll probably regroup and just take a different approach to what he's doing. And here's our new location. The ruins, the cleaver. Few ruins in Ombre are as mysterious as the cleaver. The jagged protrusions from the soil that form its earthen canopy are clearly unnatural. Considering the availability of Mascherines, it would be sensible to assume that the outcrop was constructed with an intention in mind, and by a wielder of Masquerine, but geologists and earth brands alike have ascertained after years of scrutiny that the formations that compose the cleaver were not brought into existence with the aid of magic. Sounds like we're getting into Stonehenge a little bit then. How then did the monuments that shelter how did the monument that shelters ruins beneath come into being, and what could have had the ability to wrench the innards of the earth so violently to summon it? These questions had once been at the forefront of the minds of the Vegelus, researchers of the registry, until the ward that the ruins belonged to, the Shattered Stone, was handed over to the care of the Cacciatori. Since then, few expeditions to the Cleaver have been conducted for the benefit of academia. So there's mystical Stonehenge-like ruins where people can't quite explain how it came into be, and they have since given up on investigating it. This will be a nice change of pace. Look at it. You got dirt, you got donkeys. Everything looks different for a moment.
Steepled fingers of stone.
I wonder what we'll find.